Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: what are some unmanly things that are actually very manly? Reflection and apologizing when you're wrong. This is the one that inspired this post. When anyone with eyes can see your earlier statement was misinformed, it seems way manlier to own up and take control of a situation by just saying you were right, I was wrong. I stand corrected. In light of that, here's what we should do now. Trying to deny, defend, deflect, or justify from a reactive place just makes you come across as insecure and not on the ball, which are not traditionally considered manly qualities. I heard cooking for your family labeled as unmanly due to men wearing an apron around a gas stove, by the same people who grill for their family while wearing an apron around a gas grill. I worked as a chef for almost a decade and you wouldn't believe how many times my GF or I have had to correct people over who made a potluck dish, or who cooks at home. A lot of people, especially the older generations, just assume that women cook in relationships. As a guy, it's been a real asset over the years and I definitely have gotten a lot of compliments from the opposite gender over the years about my cooking. So it's my advice to younger guys, I'm in my 30s, that it definitely doesn't hurt to learn to cook. It's cheaper to cook for yourself and it's been my experience anyways that women really love a guy who knows their way around the kitchen. Edit. I tried responding to everyone but you guys overwhelmed me. Thanks so much for the award and all the good vibes. I'll try and respond to as many people as I can, but thanks again. This is the weird thing about this gender role stereotype. Cooking is a women's job except when grilling. Also except professional chefs, which from what I understand is a heavily male-dominated field. So it's my advice to younger guys, I'm in my 30s, that it definitely doesn't hurt to learn to cook. It's cheaper to cook for yourself and it's been my experience anyways that women really love a guy who knows their way around the kitchen. This same exact experience. Date night where you cook together has been a damn good go-to for me. If someone tells you something is unmanly, tell them a real man would be secure enough in their manliness to not give a shit what they think. I go for the Ron Swanson-esque responsive, everything I do is manly because I am a man. That feels both quintessential Ron Swanson and yet completely against his normal attitude to life. When my dad was a kid, a bully told him to meet him after school for a beating. Dad simply never showed up and went directly home instead. When I was a teenager, two of my friends started arguing with one another and it got pretty heated. Suddenly, one of them grabbed the other and shouted, "Do you want to fight?" And the other replied loudly but totally sincerely, "No." And the first skipped a single beat and then just yelled in a sort of relieved tone, "Well, then, we won't have one," and let him go and walked away. Reminds me of the scene in the foosball episode of Community where Shirley and Jeff are yelling at each other. You're a perfectly fine person. So are you. Sewing. When you're stuck on a boat in the Pacific during World War II, you'd better know how to stick up your own uniform. Source: both of my grandfathers. Sewing and upholstery is one of the 5 original industrial arts. Knitting was invented by sailors, not grandmas. Big, burly sailors. Knitting is manly. It's one of my favorite fun facts. I knit and am female, but I've taught a few fishermen in my town and they love it to pass time on the boat. And they get hats and shit out of it. Hey. When I was a kid, I was once at a clothing store and I saw a pink men's shirt. I said out loud, "What kind of men wear pink shirts?" And my mom said, "Secure men." For some reason that always stuck with me. Girl once said to me, "You can easily pull that off," when I was considering a pink shirt and I was really flattered. I think she was just saying that you know how to remove your own clothing. Well done there. When I was a wee lad, I noticed that girls like pink. So figured if I wore pink, they would like me too. That's adorable. Being an attentive and involved father. I can change a diaper one-handed and I'm proud of that fact. Silverback gorillas, giant, macho, chest-beatic dudes, are some of the most loving, attentive, and patient dads in the animal kingdom. They handle nearly all of the socializatio for their offspring, basically teaching them how to gorilla. I'd like to teach my child how to gorilla as well. Is there a podcast or something? I love growing flowers, sewing, cooking, baking, and other activities that are viewed by some as girly activities. I also love traditionally manly things like fishing, building furniture, mowing my lawn, etc. A long time ago I was upset by some of my friends ribbing me for liking to do girly things. My dad handled this by teaching me that the manliest thing a man can do is whatever the hell he wants. My grandfather was the manliest man I know. 6'3" Marine and a farmer. He could cook, bake, sew, garden, and sing. He taught me that a manly man does what he finds necessary or even just interesting regardless of what others may deem manly. Knowing girly skills makes a man highly self-sufficient, which is very manly. Hygiene and cleanliness. I live on my own and I love having a clean and neat house. High five me, too, brother. My girlfriend was amazed at how clean my bedroom is when she came over the first time. She still occasionally tells me I'm the cleanest man she's ever known. Every woman I've ever dated, including the one I married, has been the messy one in the relationship. Also, there's nothing manlier than knowing how to safely wash and dry a sexy bra for your sexy partner. Ordering a fruity drink. A real man orders a beer. No, a real man orders whatever the fuck he wants. The whole concept of manly and girly drinks is stupid. There are different tastes. Sweet, fruity, bitter, etc. And a bartender is there to make you a drink you like. What good is a drink if you don't like it? You paid for it after all. Buying feminine products for yourself. I have no shame buying tampons or pads when I do the grocery shopping, which is always. Men that get all embarrassed or won't do it are the unmanly ones. Never even understood why this was an issue for some men. I'm in a relatively new relationship and I have went to the store for tampons exclusively like 3 times now. What are they afraid people will think? That dude uses tampons. LMAO. In reality, they probably think that's nice of him to buy tampons for his wife/girlfriend. Edit, for those concerned about my girlfriend periods. So I don't have to explain again. She has been on birth control for longer than she has even had periods. She had really bad irregular periods and got put on birth control at a young age. She didn't get off of it until 21. The first time I went was a surprise period sooner than expected off birth control, and the other 2 times was because she was running low under emergency situation outside of the house. Also, I bought the smallest boxes, which doesn't help, but it seemed like every time I went the shelves were damn near empty. One of the trips was primarily to take them to her as she had an emergency situation with an irregular period and no tampons while away from home. She now keeps them in her purse at all times, and has excess at home. So no worries, people. My mom told me once that when she was newly married she was surprised that dad had no reservations in buying her feminine products. She herself was embarrassed, mainly because that was in the late 1950s, the products were usually kept behind the counter and too often it was some teenage boy she knew from high school working there. Dad shrugged and told her, "You need it, they know it's not for me, someone has to buy it." I was pleasantly surprised when, many years later, my boyfriend and I were preparing for a trip to England and he phoned me the morning of our departure. "I'm stopping at the drugstore, anything you need?" I hemmed and hawed and he finally asked, "What type do you use?" I apologized profusely for asking him to buy tampons and he interrupted me, "What's the problem? They know it's not for me, it's something you need for the trip, I just don't want to miss our flight." I used to be a grocery store cashier, and every time I saw a man purchase tampons or pads, my only thought was, what a nice man, buying this for a woman in his life. I've got my wife's tampon size and brand memorized. Doesn't bother me at all to buy those. But eyeliner. I draw the line there. It's not because it bother me or it's embarrassing, but because it's so fucking hard to find. Oh, you want Maybelline's soft light black? They only have it in light black, is that the same thing? No, it needs to be soft light black. Okay, I guess I'll spend another 15 minutes staring at the wall of makeup that all looks the fucking same to me. I mean, this is fair. My BFF wanted to get me makeup for my birthday one time and he admitted he gave up very quickly because he was like, "Why the fuck are there so many options? Makeup is complicated, dude." Being there for your kids. There is never anything manly about not taking care of your kids. If you're a deadbeat dad, or you push everything off onto the mother of your children, you're a sack of shit, and not deserving of anyone's respect. Part of being a man is taking responsibility and being a present father to your offspring. I would not say this is part of being a man, but the primary component. Defending the family is cool and all, but how often does one need to do that, really? Likely never. Every day, you need to make sure that your child or children are loved and cared for. I'm not trying to correct you, because I agree with your post. I just think that a lot of guys focus on weird shit that is secondary to what their real job is as a dad. Yeah, I was going to post taking care of your kids. My stepfather brags about how he's never changed a diaper. IMO, it's more manly to do whatever your child needs in that moment, then shuffle the responsibility to someone else. I bet your stepfather also doesn't wash his ass because he thinks it's gay. Guys like that don't seem to realize that being a man-child is the furthest thing from being manly. One of the craggiest conversations I've had was with a bunch of guys from my wife's work. We were all out to dinner and I had taken our daughter to change her. It's my wife's work function, she should be socializing. I come back and they're all like, I never changed a diaper, why are you doing that? Because it needed to be done and I'm her dad. This is such an incredible generational shift if you think about it. I remember about 10 years ago my aunt telling my mom that this generation is so different when it came to child rearing, and that her sons changed their kids' diapers. And I was there thinking to myself, why would you ever have a child with someone who wouldn't? Really just the way things go though. I remember my great aunt telling me that in the IITs she taught her husband basic things in the kitchen when she had a health scare, like how to make coffee and how to use a can opener. He was in his 70s by then, and the fact that you could be 70 having never made a cup of coffee is astounding.